The Art Director's Debrief 5. Anatomy of a Disastrous Proposal. Hello and welcome back to the Art Director's Debrief, the space where we unpack the artistry behind the narrative. Today, we stand before the very epicenter of Pride and Prejudice. The chapters we are about to dissect, 28 through 35, are not merely a progression of the plot. They are the novel's explosive, indentescent core. This is the moment where the two titular forces of the story, Pride and Prejudice, cease to be abstract concepts and become fully realized weapons in a dramatic, unforgettable confrontation. Our setting shifts from the familiar grounds of Hertfordshire to the opulent and oppressive atmosphere of Rosings Park, the domain of the formidable Lady Catherine de Bourgh. This change of scenery is no accident. Rosings is a pressure cooker, a grand stage designed to magnify social differences and force our characters into an uncomfortable proximity. It is here, under the watchful eye of Darcy's high-status aunt, that the quiet war of wits between him and Elizabeth will finally escalate into an open declaration of hostility. We will analyze the anatomy of one of literature's most famous proposal, a masterpiece of conflicting emotions. We will witness a rejection so powerful it redefines a woman's agency in her era. And we will end with a single object, a letter that holds the power to shatter everything our heroine thought she knew. This is the story of a perfect storm, where wounded pride, righteous indignation, and a passionate, misguided love collide. Before the proposal itself, Austen masterfully builds an atmosphere of almost unbearable tension. Elizabeth's visit to Hunsford is meant to be a simple social duty, a visit to her newly married friend Charlotte. But it quickly becomes an immersive study in the world that created and conditioned Mr. Darcy. Lady Catherine de Bourgh is not just a character. She is a personification of the class-based arrogance and entitlement that Darcy has been raised in. She is the gatekeeper of her world, and her method of control is relentless interrogation. She quizzes Elizabeth on her upbringing, her sisters' ages, their education, her own accomplishments, treating her not as a guest, but as a specimen to be examined, a curious creature from a lower order. Lady Catherine's estate, Rosings, is itself a character, a symbol of inherited power and rigid order, beautiful but lacking the warmth and life of a true home. It is within this gilded cage that Elizabeth must navigate, her wit her only shield. Into this tense environment, Darcy arrives. His presence is immediately a source of profound awkwardness. His visits to the Hunsford parsonage, often silent and seemingly without purpose, are deeply unsettling for Elizabeth. She cannot comprehend why a man who so clearly disdains her company and her connections would repeatedly seek her out in such a humble setting. For us, the audience, these visits are a fascinating window into his profound internal conflict. He is a man drawn by an irresistible force towards a woman he feels he should not love. His pride, his education, his duty to his class and family are all at war with the admiration he feels for Elizabeth's mind and spirit. The result is the strange, almost compulsive behavior, these visits where he sits for 10 minutes at a time without speaking a word. He is there because he cannot stay away, but he is silent because he does not know how to reconcile his feelings with his identity. The arrival of the charming Colonel Fitzwilliam only serves to heighten this contrast. Fitzwilliam is everything Darcy is not in public. He is gracious, open, and easy to converse with. He represents the pleasing surface of the aristocracy. His easy friendship with Elizabeth highlights Darcy's own social failings. But Fitzwilliam also serves a more critical narrative purpose. He is the one-witting messenger who, with the best of intentions, will deliver the piece of information that makes reconciliation impossible. The conversation between Elizabeth and Colonel Fitzwilliam during their walk is a quiet moment that changes the course of the entire novel. When he casually mentions that Darcy recently saved a close friend, Bingley, from a most imprudent marriage, he has no idea he is delivering the final damning piece of evidence in Elizabeth's case against Darcy. For Elizabeth, this is the ultimate betrayal. Her prejudice is no longer just about Darcy's personal rudeness to her, or even about Wickham's tragic and unverified story. It is now about Darcy actively, cruelly, and single-handedly destroying the happiness of her beloved, gentle sister. This transforms her dislike into a cold, righteous fury. Darcy is no longer just a proud man. In her eyes, he is a malicious puppet master, manipulating the lives of others for his own arrogant satisfaction. This revelation is the spark that lights the fuse. The headache she complains of is not physical. It is a headache born of rage and a profound sense of injustice. She is now primed for confrontation, armed with what she believes to be an irrefutable list of his crimes against her family and her friends. The stage is perfectly set for Darcy to make the worst possible entrance at the worst possible time. And so he arrives. Darcy's first proposal is one of the most brilliant and psychologically complex scenes in all of English literature. It is not a declaration of love. It is a confession delivered under duress, a civil war of the self spoken aloud. Let's analyze his speech from an artistic standpoint. It is a masterpiece of contradiction. He begins not with tenderness, but with an abrupt, almost violent declaration of his feelings, admitting how ardently he admires and loves her. This confession of passion, however, is immediately and disastrously followed by a litany of insults. He details all the reasons why he should not love her: the inferiority of her family, the degradation of the connection, the obstacles of her social standing that his own judgment had fought so fiercely against. He speaks of his feelings as a weakness, a failing he has been unable to conquer. He is, in essence, saying, despite every rational reason not to, despite how unsuitable you are and how much my pride is wounded by this, I love you against my will. Now be grateful and accept me. He is not offering a partnership of equals. He is offering a promotion. He believes the honor of his proposal, the sheer magnitude of his condescension in choosing her, is so great that it should overwhelm any offense caused by the manner in which it is delivered. It is the absolute pinnacle of pride, the assumption that his affection, once granted, is a prize so valuable that the recipient should not question the insults that come with it. From an artistic perspective, he sees Elizabeth as an object to be acquired, a beautiful but flawed masterpiece that he, a wealthy connoisseur, is willing to purchase despite its objectionable frame, expecting the artwork itself to be grateful. If Darcy's proposal was a declaration of his internal war, Elizabeth's rejection is a swift, brilliant, and utterly devastating counteroffensive. It is not just a no, it is a systematic dismantling of his character, a verbal evisceration delivered with the cold precision of a surgeon. She does not simply refuse him. She puts him on trial in the court of her own judgment and finds him guilty on all counts. She begins by attacking his character, citing his direct role in ruining her sister's happiness. This is her first and most powerful piece of evidence, a crime against her own family. She then attacks his morals, using the story she heard from Wickham as her primary evidence of his cruelty and undishonorable nature. Only after establishing his deep moral failings does she deliver the final, deeply personal and fatal blow. She tells him that from the very beginning, from the first moment of their acquaintance, his manners impressed her with the fullest belief of his arrogance, his conceit, and his selfish disdain for the feelings of others. She declares he is the last man in the world whom she could ever be prevailed on to marry. This is the ultimate collision. Her prejudice, which has been nurtured by her own experiences and fed by Wickham's compelling narrative, rises up to shadow his pride. For the first time, perhaps in his entire life, Darcy is confronted with an unvarnished and brutal assessment of his own character from an intellectual equal. He came to her expecting gratitude for his condescension. He received instead a fiery declaration of independence. Elizabeth's rejection is a powerful assertion of self-worth. It is a refusal to be a prize to be won or an acquisition to be displayed. She demands to be seen and respected as an equal. And when she is not, she chooses solitude over a loveless union, no matter how financially advantageous it might be. The confrontation ends. The room is thick with the fallout of their battle. Darcy leaves, shocked, pale, and angry. Elizabeth is left trembling, overwhelmed by the force of her own emotions. It seems as though a final, irreparable line has been drawn between them, a canyon of misunderstanding and mutual animosity. But this is not the end. It is, in fact, the beginning of the novel's true turning point. The proposal and rejection were a war fought with flawed intelligence and deeply ingrained biases. Both combatants believed they were acting on the absolute truth. Elizabeth was armed with the truth of Wickham's story and Darcy's interference. Darcy was armed with the truth of his social superiority and the unsuitability of her family. The next morning, in a quiet grove, Darcy intercepts Elizabeth and hands her a letter. This letter represents the introduction of a new, competing text, a primary source document that will challenge the very foundation of Elizabeth's narrative. It is Darcy's defense, his testimony, his side of the story. It is a cliffhanger of immense proportions. What could possibly be in that letter that could justify his actions? Can mere words on a page undo the damage of perceived cruelty and long-held prejudice? The battle of Pride and Prejudice as they knew it is over. The quest for actual truth is about to begin. I leave you with that thought. In this epic confrontation, whose side did you find yourself on? Was Darcy's proposal as insulting as Elizabeth perceived, or was there a desperate, clumsy honesty within it? Let me know your brilliant thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this analysis, please show your support for the Emotive Archive with a like and a subscribe. Join me next time as we dissect the contents of that fateful letter.